Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book which has come to us from the Legal Action Group. It's the Access to Justice charity, and this book is called the Housing Law Handbook, now in the 4th edition by Diane Aston. It's a first-class book for anybody involved in possession proceedings and the rather wider area of housing law. And Elizabeth and I have talked about the book and given it a title for our review, A Complete Housing Law Resource in a Single Convenient Volume. And that's basically what you're getting. Let's have a look at it. It's got a purple cover, 4th edition. It's a heavy book. Sad to report, I'm afraid, that it's getting bigger by each edition. There's the blurb on the back. We're now talking of it running to over 1,000 pages. If I go to the back, you can see that there is the index at the back, and it is by paragraph numbering. If I go to the front of the book, you can see there is the front page. There's some blurb about Diane there. And as I say, do read the preface. This came out in 2018, this new edition. There's the preface there, which sets the tone. Very substantial. Then, of course, you've got the actual prefaces written in October 2018, and I'm recording it very shortly after. There's the contents section there, which you can see, and all running all the way through. There's a lot of chapters, as you can probably see, most of what you're looking for. There are a total of 21 chapters. Then the index on page 1069. Then you've got table of cases, and after the tables of cases you've then got the table of statutes, which you can see there, and after the table of statutes, table of statutory instruments, and thereafter we've got international legislation, which is part and parcel of what we are facing today in this area. Then there's a very useful abbreviations section. And that does help because there are a lot of abbreviations in this area of law, and it's very difficult to remember sometimes exactly what they are. Now we start off the book. Chapter 1, Occupiers' Rights Basic Principles. So you have a little index at the front, and then what you've got after the index is you then have the key points section, which is a shaded box section. Then you have the paragraph numbering, which you can see at the bottom there, and then you can notice there is some footnoting. Again, that's on the next page, page 2, and it runs through that way. Then it runs all the way through unlawful evictions, chapter 8, and then right at the back things like housing improvement and adaptation. So that's the book. I'm very grateful to Diane for producing this work. What do we say about it? Well, we say this: with housing now racing up to the top of the political agenda, and a new housing secretary recently appointed in response to the seriousness of the housing crisis, the publication of this new edition of Housing Law Handbook is timely, the 4th edition. Now, as a solicitor specialising in housing law and a lecturer in legal practice at Brunel University, Diane Aston has applied her impressive expertise to what is actually a monumental task of researching, compiling and writing this edition. As I said, the 4th to be recently published by the Legal Action Group. Can I just say that the compilation, the whole of the endeavour itself, is a very substantial undertaking, and I'm very grateful to her for doing this, because the result of the work is actually a substantial reference work on housing law, which is brilliant in my view, and reassuringly easy to use, as you're likely to find it anywhere. It's on many bookshelves. It will be in local libraries and in courts and so forth. Also at Citizens' Advice. Readers who aren't lawyers then will find it helpful. And lawyers, of course, advising clients on housing matters, we think will find it indispensable. Quite obviously, it's been written in line with the stated aim of the Legal Action Group. As I said, it's the Access to Justice charity, of providing practitioners and general readers alike with a straightforward, plain-speaking legal text aimed at decomplicating, as far as possible, what is a complicated, difficult and often sensitive area of law, while providing informed, accurate and practical advice in an accessible manner. It's not the easiest area of practice either, because a lot of emotion comes into it, because you're in many cases looking at repossessions. Now, as the previous edition of this handbook was published in 2015, we obviously since that time, acquiring this new edition is bound to become a necessity for any practitioner today who is an advisor on housing matters at whatever level, in my view. Throughout its more than 1,000 pages and the 21 chapters, the handbook itself covers every conceivable aspect of housing law. And as I've said right in the beginning, we talked about a heading. It's a complete resource in one volume, and that I think is a good selling point, apart from anything else, because clearly you've got a whole range of the loose leaf works and the law reports and everything else, but this particular book, I think, sets a very good scene, and it's of a very high quality, and of course it is genuinely appreciated at all levels of the legal world, from members of the bar and solicitors to, of course, the bench. Now, the detailed the detailed table of contents, as the case is, lists virtually all issues the practitioner is likely to encounter, from occupiers' rights and public law and housing matters to possession claims, unlawful eviction and harassment by landlords, to the allocation of social housing, and of course much more. And I would say here that the important point to bear in mind is that it is very much a case law based subject. It's worthwhile, of course, to read the author's preface at the beginning. It's hard hitting and it's succinct. It both elucidates and reminds us of just what the key issues are, and it refers to the new material that the handbook now contains, which includes the Homelessness Reduction Act of 2017, which came into force in April of this year, 2018, and which, as Aston points out, brought the most significant change for more than 20 years. And again, I think we're seeing the effect of that, of course, now. And of course, this legislation, together with the 2018 Homelessness Code of Guidance, confers new regulatory powers to local authorities across a range of issues discussed in detail in the text and supported throughout by numerous case law highlights in various shaded boxes. And of course the key point area is very helpful, again, for very quick reference. Also, I think it's important to bear in mind the extensive tables of cases that you have, all the new ones, statutes, statutory instruments, and of course the role both of the European Union and international legislation, which, as I've indicated, is not going away soon. And for those confounded by abbreviations, there's a 4-page list of them describing what they actually mean, and that does help in this day and age with so much things that you try to remember and perhaps you may just slip your mind. Now, let me conclude by saying this. Certainly, Diane Aston has provided a valuable service for practitioners as well as advisors and those faced with the challenge of representing themselves in court. So in short, this is a handbook we think that no one embroiled in housing law issues can afford to be without. And the book reflects the law as it was in July 2018, and the book was published on the 25th of October 2018. Let's just have one quick look at it again. There it is. That's the front, spine, and then the back. And if I just open it up in the middle, defending possession claims, a very important area for many people. You see the structure, you've got the paragraph numbering, and you've got some footnoting. Can I just say the footnoting is not too extensive, but again you've got cases which are highlighted as effectively key points in the shaded boxes, and with each chapter head, for instance this is chapter 10 on disrepair, you've got a key points section which should help you depending on what you're actually looking for with a particular problem you may have. Big thank you anyway to everybody at Legal Action Group and also to Diane for her work. Can I just say again on behalf of us as practitioners that you make our lives a great deal easier by producing these works, so thank you. It is appreciated, and I know it's appreciated in the wider community as well as by the professionals. Thank you very much indeed. Bye bye.